All right. All right. Voice couldn't go. I got a little frog in my throat. Anyway.
Sure it's not a toad?
Yeah, it could be. It could be a toad. So
Welcome to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Get ready for a turbocharged episode of Sam's Garage. Watch while we upgrade the C6 Corvette with sleek new valve covers. Modify Doug's Ford GT350 to receive a new manual transmission. And swap out the heart of a 4th generation Honda Accord. Plus, stay tuned as Phil from CarCapsule unveils their latest innovation. Buckle up for the wild ride. Sam's diving into the heart of the Project C6 Corvette. Get ready to witness precision and power collide as Sam transforms this beauty into a true performance machine.
So you see this one is sticking up,
Yeah.
that one is down. All you gotta do is put your screwdriver right here, unlock it, and that way you can replace this while the hood is off.
That's pretty easy.
And we're done. And it's
Yeah.
inexpensive, right?
Yeah, now it's not annoying.
Anytime you guys got upgrades you're doing to your vehicle, it's a good idea to do some maintenance. Like these shocks, the hood was not staying open for us. That's why we decided to take it off, and it's much easier to work on it. So what we're gonna do today is install new valve covers. While we're doing the beautification process, we're gonna do maintenance by installing new ignition wires and spark plugs. So what you want to do is take a good look at the cylinder head because it's exposed. So what you're looking at is the valves, rocker arms, the valve springs, because what happens on the LS engines is valve springs will break, but they usually break on the variable valve timing or the cylinder displacement engines. This is not one of them. So you have everything exposed. Now we're going to go and change out the spark plugs because while everything's out of the way, it's much easier to get to the spark plugs.
So when you look at a spark plug, how do you know when it's bad?
So what happens is if you drop it, the porcelain will break. And if it breaks, it'll break right here sometimes, and that piece will cut this in half and shoot out the cylinder. So what you want to do is you want to check the gap. We're at 45. That's spec, it's good. If you have to gap it, this is a copper spark plug, you can gap it no problem. If this was a platinum spark plug, you cannot gap it normally, you have to use a screwdriver.
Is there ever too much gap or always?
Well, if there's too much gap, you close it up. You have to go per the spec of the spark plug. Now, before you install your spark plugs, just a little bit of anti-seize. That way it's not gonna run into the cylinder. You can use, depending on how much confidence you have in yourself, power tool to put it back in, but you stop before you tighten it, and you tighten it with your hand. So you do that. You don't wanna create too much vibration because that vibration can crack the porcelain no different than if you dropped it on the ground. So when you guys are installing new spark plug wires, they're going to come with a packet of dielectric grease. It's very important that you just squirt some where the spark plug goes. That way when you put it onto the spark plug, it's going to lubricate it and protect it. So that in the future, if anybody wants to go in and remove these and change out the spark plugs, they're not going to break on them. So you're going to take the coil packs off the brackets. This is no longer used. It's very important that you remember the orientation because this is your firing order. If you get this wrong, you'll be chasing that for a couple hours. This last coil pack, because the alternator's in its way, you're gonna just put one bolt in it. If you wanted to, you can fabric a little bracket to this boss, but one will hold it in just fine. So when it comes to an impact wrench like this, when the socket stops, you stop. Don't sit there and keep on hitting it. When the socket is stopped, that means it's tight. The portion that goes to the ignition coil is gonna snap twice. You wanna hear 2 clicks. That's when you know you're confirmed installed. Julie and I are moving right along with our C6 Holley project. Next week, we're gonna be installing the MSD atomic intake manifold. When you're doing something like this on an LS engine, you have to address the oil sending unit. They're very bad. This one is pegged full. Even if yours isn't bad, go ahead and replace it because you have to remove the intake manifold. To do that job, it's roughly 65 bucks. It saves you a headache in the future. Those valve covers look really good, don't they?
They look good, and there was minimal issues.
Yeah, you did a good job.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Rev up your engines while Sam and Doug gear up for the great race. The guys are modifying and installing the bell housing for his GT350 to connect the new transmission. It's all about precision and preparation to get this job done right.
What do you think about those Vision wheels?
It looks absolutely fantastic, Sam. Looks period correct on the car, and we were able to save the originals because they're worth a fortune.
Yes, I sold them last week.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys remember last year we put a T5 with American Powertrain's kit inside this car so that we can have a better gear ratio, fuel economy for the great race? But we didn't finish it because if you remember, the bell housing didn't have the 2 holes for the top.
Right, yeah. We went ahead and we ordered another bell housing. We ran into a problem. It's slightly different. The numbers were slightly off, and then when it came in, we realized it was damaged, so we're not going to be able to use it. So we're going to take the original bell housing and we're going to modify it to be able to take the T5 transmission. So we're going to have to use a transfer plate onto it. And what I'll do is just a real quick flat file, just to make sure I don't have any burrs that I'm on. Okay, everything looks and feels really good. I'll check it. On the bottom, once again, I don't have any problems. And the reason why you want to set a transfer punch is that it'll make sure you get a hole exactly in the center. Because if you were to try to eyeball it, there's no way you can guarantee you're exactly in the center. Then what you want to do is just hold it, grab a ball-peen hammer, and what we'll do is we'll dimple it. Same thing with the other one. And then we'll go ahead, pull it back off. So if we take a look at our dimple, and that's what we were looking for.
To make it absolutely accurate is I'm going to put this on the drill press so that we get a perfectly straight 90-degree angle hole.
It's important you step drill it. If you saw it, I went with a smaller drill and another drill, and the reason you want to step drill it is you don't want that drill to walk off any direction. So if you step drill it, you'll get a true hole. Then go ahead and use the drill press to start your tap. Like I said, I just kind of hand turned it to start the tap. Make sure you're always using a little bit of penetrating oil, which will work fine. The only thing I'm trying to do is to make sure the metal doesn't gall. When I'm tapping, I want to take about a half turn. Then I want to go back, just so I chips continually as I'm going through. So I take about a half a turn, I back it up, half a turn, back it up. So I'm wanting to go ahead and continually clear those chips out of those flutes. This way I can get a real good tap as I go through it, and I'll have solid threads in there, and I'll have enough that the screw going through that is able to hold it real tight. You need at least 3 threads for a good hold. And then you can see perfect results.
You did a good job. Now put it in the car.
That's your job.
Oh man, I knew it. We're mobile again. We got the drive shaft in, we got fluid in the transmission, and we got 4 bolts holding it in.
That's great, Sam. You know, the great part about it, in my generation, we use these shifters a lot. In your generation, I think you were the automatic guys.
No.
When we knew how to pull gears going down the road.
Well, that was back in the day when the shifter was attached to the transmission. Today we got cables, so it's not the same feel.
Yeah, no, it's not.
It's like
not.
soft and
Yeah.
stuff.
This looks great. You know, this way the car will be able to cruise down the road and not pull the kind of revs that it used to. Because with today's highway speeds, you know, I'd be spinning 3,500, 4,000. So now we're going to be able to make it much more drivable. So it makes all the sense in the world.
Absolutely. How do you shift again? That's how you do it.
That's how you do it, guys.
So Joe, let's say I wasn't proactive when I first purchased my vehicle, or I purchased a used vehicle and there is some rust underneath it, but I want to add value and protect my investment. What do you have?
So our most aggressive approach would be what we would call a rust oration. And so you would come in, we would take your vehicle, descale it, bring it down as close to a surface rust as possible, and then we would apply our rust converter. This was developed specifically to work in conjunction with our oil. Unlike most rust converters, this turns your surface chemically to a zinc phosphate with no polymers, so there's no sealers. It dries fast and it leaves the surface porous. You want that because you want your oil to penetrate, go down and displace moisture and remove oxygen and do its magic, okay? And that would be something that you would do just prior to the undercoating. And then you would maintain your regular undercoatings annually after.
So it stops the rust in its tracks. From there on, you can start protecting your vehicle and your investment. So all you guys who are out there looking for a used vehicle, don't be discouraged if you see a little bit of rust, because NHOU has what it takes for you to enjoy that used car and protect it forever.
Welcome back to more Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. We have a double dose of excitement on today's segment of Sam's Garage. Join Sam and Davi as he unlocks the secrets of Honda's VTEC technology. Then stick around as he puts the final touches on our sleeper Honda Accord with the Prelude engine swap.
It's exciting this week. I'm going to go ahead and assemble the H22 for the Honda Accord. I got the cylinder head right here. I went to Don at Ewing Auto Machine. He did a quick valve job for me, new valve stem seals, everything is ready to go. And today we're going to talk about what VTEC really means. Valve timing, electronic control. It's what gave Honda its street credit.
Yeah.
This is going to be a really cool episode. Variable valve timing. That is when the cam gear is hydraulically manipulated, advancing or retarding the camshaft, giving you bottom end power or top end power, basically moving the RPM band. In 1987, Honda came out with VTEC, valve timing electronic control. And it's basically two camshafts in one. What Honda did is down low, before 5,000 RPM, we have two lobes that are gonna open the valves, and it's progressive because one is bigger than the other with a longer duration than it. Then you got the center lobe right here. That center lobe is the VTEC lobe. That's the second camshaft in one. This little solenoid right here, if it's got sufficient oil pressure, it's going to tell the computer to go ahead and activate the solenoid on top, which is going to move the oil through these orifices, filling up everything here, locking the valves together. Then what it's going to do, there is a lifter that goes in the center of the head on the bottom. And so what happens when VTEC activates, those guys fill up with oil and become solid. And what it does is you got three rocker arms in the cylinder head. In them, you have a little plunger that's gonna lock together when VTEC activates. So that's why Honda's got a lot of street credit. Sure, they were loud and obnoxious in some cases, and we were a really big part of that. We probably made thousands of Hondas on the streets loud, and I'm sorry for that, but it was so much fun. I did it for myself as well. We learned a lot. And this is really impressive technology. This went all the way through to today. Take your time when putting the cylinder head together. What you want to do is when you're torquing the bolts down, make sure you do it in 3 sequences, each one twice, especially the middle ones again. If you ever do a head bolt and you feel that bolt at your torque continue to go and lift, that bolt is stretching, it's no good, throw it away. Or you may have coolant at the bottom of the holes where the bolts go into. Now, when you're doing something like this, like I said, make sure you do a whole bunch of maintenance. I replaced every single thing on here, and only because I've been there, done that, and I didn't want to go through it with a comeback with the customer. What you want to do is take your time, put the engine in. As you can see, I've left the intake manifold off. That way I can access everything to the back of the engine and get it in place, because fighting that transmission mount was a little difficult. I still have to do some bracing and get it to where it'll be nice and secure for the customer. The front is going to use the same dog bone mount that the Accord used. Like I said, from the head down, everything is Accord. So you want to use the manual Accord stuff, except for that transmission mount, because the bracket on the car is different for an automatic. You have to modify that a little bit. The valve cover, I am going to go back and shave off the red for the dual overhead cam VTEC. Nice job, huh?
Very impressive.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
with the red valve cover, the HPC coating, the paint on the engine. Make sure, you guys, if you're painting your engine on ground side, very important on a Honda, it will not run if you don't clean off those grounds. Put the factory grounds back in their place, you should have no problems. But check out this clutch line.
It's very nice.
Oh yeah, except you could do your neighbor's car with it, you know? So I got this from eBay, I had no choice, but man, that thing can go around the trunk, the rear bumper and everything.
Yeah.
It'll take 3 bottles just to bleed this guy. Next week when you come back, we're gonna wire it up, button it up, and drive it out of here. It's gonna be cool.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. Phil Pataki reveals his groundbreaking SE1 car capsule, providing ultimate protection for your supercar. But hold on to your seats because Phil has a special surprise to safeguard one of Sam's prized rides.
I'm here with Phil, and he brought me something very special for my Cadillac. But before we go outside and show you that, let's take a look and see what we have in the studio. What'd you bring this time?
So this is our new SE1. We debuted at SEMA last year and won 200 national awards. And it's a licensed product for General Motors for Corvettes or Chevy. And it's got a unique shape, carbon fiber, new light kit, battery backup system, and of course our normal change of air with our fan and filter.
It can handle a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, any of those.
Right, SE1, Supercar 1. So we make a non-branded one for those type cars. That's the carbon fiber model that has a lot of extra bells and whistles on it. It's got our new filter system too, which has been well received and does a much better job filtering out dust, especially in body shop environments. Got that fine sanding dust that stops all that from getting inside.
It's amazing how dusty a car gets sitting in a very clean garage whose doors may not even open for a month.
People, we'll do events, we'll be up a day and the top of the showcase is loaded with dirt. At SEMA they were dusting off all those cars around us, and the 2 cars we had were spotless the whole time. But you're right, even in my setting at my home or at the warehouse, the top of those things get filthy, and it's amazing what's in there. But it's like your house. I tell people that all the time. They go, I got a climate-controlled garage. I don't care. I got a climate-controlled house. I still got to dust and clean it every week.
Very true.
So it's the same analogy. That's how you need to look at it.
The car capsule also protects the vehicles from rodents, right?
Correct.
In my case, I got lots of cats. We got no rodents. But you know what I do have in my Cadillac? It sits outside. Lizards. Doesn't have the rubber all throughout it yet. It's not fully sealed. And so I'll go 3 weeks later and there'll be lizards in the Cadillac. So,
well, I think what we're going to show them next will solve that problem.
yeah, I can't wait. So let's go out there and set it up.
Okay.
And get the Cadillac ready to go in.
Let's do it. This is 360 protection, top, bottom, sides. You're not going to wick moisture from the concrete, which is a big problem with any car cover, because that's what it does, it traps it. So the fan's running continuous. This thing blew up in less than 5 minutes, 12-inch tubes, pretty strong. The outdoor fabric's rated to 158 Fahrenheit, 30 below, cold crack tested. 2 side doors, it's perfect.
That's cool. The arch roof will take any snow that's on it and just take it right off.
Where I'm at, Northwest Indiana, we've tested these, and sometimes the snow's just going to slide off, or if it starts to compress, because these tubes are always under pressure. So as soon as it starts to compress, then the snow shifts and falls off, and it just pops right back up, because these are under constant load. And these are really strong. You cannot push that corner down. Our thought process was there, we made a little protective flap, and what that does is it kind of keeps weather off that zipper. And you don't want to get snow and ice down here a lot like we do up north or the rest of the country, but you don't want to get that zipper all frozen, so that protects it. Pressurized air still be able to seep out the zipper, work its way out the Velcro.
I love this new design with the arch roof outdoor showcase. Not only is it going to keep my Cadillac nice and out of the environment, but like I said, there are so many times where I have to work outside. I can roll the Cadillac out, come in here, be covered up, do what I need to do, and roll the Cadillac back in. This is probably one of my favorite items this year. This is an early Christmas gift for sure.
Less than 5 minutes, it blew up. Now you got something that's dust-free, dirt-free, condensation-free, no sun rays on your vehicle. The way you put it away is the way you're going to take it out.
Be sure to check out Sam's Garage on these other media platforms. Send us questions and feedback to info@samsgaragetv.com. And that's a wrap for this adrenaline-fueled episode of Sam's Garage. From modifying classic muscle cars to unveiling innovations, we've seen it all. Join us next time for more automotive adventures. Until then, keep those engines roaring and those wheels turning. See you next time on Sam's Garage.